out, get out of that, go back in.
I mean, no, they have some, but they have some. Joe's cool because he gets every, like, athletes, actors, like anything you could possibly want. He has everybody on there, and he has enough sway and knows enough people to make it happen, which is cool.
Yeah, I like the mix up of different kind of people. Whereas we just talk about Pacific Northwest Moto. I mean, we can mix it up. We can start talking about Australian animals again.
I know. We're not important enough to have that kind of, you know what I mean? Like, we should stick to what we know, because we're still not that good at that. So, I mean.
That's super fair. That's super fair. But, you know, he's been doing this a lot longer than us. Mitch, how long you been in moto scene?
Since 1972.
So basically longer than we've been around.
About 35 years, all total.
35 years. I see. I'm trying to go back in my memory bank. I don't know if I've seen you on a bike before.
You're not that old.
I'm not that old. But I know, but because I think when I first met you, I was only like 12, 13 or something. And I don't know, were you riding?
Yeah.
Were you riding? I just maybe don't remember. I do remember seeing one of our big fans, Douglas All, in his CR500. But I don't know. I guess I don't remember a lot of the people racing back then. So you've been racing since the 70s.
Yeah.
And you're still racing, just not on two wheels now.
Shifter carts.
Switched over to shifter carts. When did you switch over to that?
9 years ago, I think.
Now,
after I broke my leg real bad, so kind of had no choice.
If that wouldn't have happened, would you think you'd still ride for for fun, or just like to keep?
Riding's more fun. Karting's pretty close, so.
Does karting get pretty close? The same rush?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know anything about this world. I'm assuming these are nothing like the little rental carts.
No, it's got a CR125.
Yeah, a lot of different.
Motocross motor, 6-speed tranny. So.
Old school HP, like the good stuff.
Yeah, we got, like at McMinnville where we run, it's 72 miles an hour, top speed down the front straightaway.
How big are those tires? They're not that big, right?
2 inches off the ground.
They're legit race cars, dude. Yeah. It's a race car. It's not this isn't like a goat cart. No, these are legit. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mitch, but from what I know from people that have done four wheels and the road stuff, that's a competitive field because, like, you have to drive it, you have to know how to drive, but car or cart setup, you can, if you're a good wrench, if you know how to set up a cart, you can compensate versus somebody who's just naturally talented, right? You have to maintain your tires, especially in longer races, like your level of grip, and if you burn your tires up quick, like, there's a lot of strategy. I don't know. I feel like on a dirt bike, especially on the local level, it's just, I mean, you got to be fast. Or you can, guys that don't know a damn thing about how a bike works, that are just they just got it, they can go out on a stock bike and win.
Yeah.
And you could be the best wrench in the world and be like, I'm not going to hit that jump that guy just did. But in the car world, like, you set up, you can kind of, it's a two-parter, you know what I mean? Like, they both come into play. And if you have just stupid drug dealer money to throw at it, you can out-money the guys you're racing to a degree.
That's karting, where it's went to now.
Yep.
It's, the Honda's been phased out, so now everybody just buys the biggest motor that's out there. Special kart motors, which have 50 horsepower where the Honda has 40.
Yeah, a 10 horsepower difference.
Yeah.
Even if you want to put driver weight, like 10 horsepower, and it's something that weighs that kind of.
Yeah, that's my deal. I weigh a lot, so everybody else is pretty small, pretty skinny, and they're right. They have weight limits. That's how part of the class restrictions is weight limit for and they cross the scales at 415, and I'm at 450 plus.
Is there guys that are? Is there classes that people can, like, not sandbag, but like they add lead or weight to try to go into what would be a slower class to get an advantage or things like that?
No, it's kind of everybody's fast. It depends on which, some guys don't want to hang weight, so they run the light class, and because they have light and heavy. So.
Now, do they break it up like moto, kind of by like skill level or age or?
No.
No.
Age. 15,
just age.
15 years old and up, pretty much.
So not as many brackets as moto.
No.
How is the scene as far as like turnouts? Is it moto size pretty small?
No, it's small.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's a club level, like a local
club
event?
race this weekend? There's probably 50 entrants.
Okay.
There was only 5 shifters. A lot of the guys were at one of the tour races.
Huh, okay.
Is it because like I know very little. I've always been interested in it because of dirt bikes, and like they're extremely expensive, yes, but it's still cheaper than buying a SCCA. You can spend more money on an SCCA spec Miata at the creme de la creme level.
A kart's just about the same as a dirt bike. I mean, you go buy the absolute best go-kart and motor for 15 grand.
And you're not going to get better equipment. It comes down to you driving.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That was my vague understanding.
Yeah. And then like road courses versus sprint courses, what we do, which is a small track.
Mm-hmm.
It's like road courses are smooth, sprint courses in a shifter kart's violent.
Not as smooth as concrete. It's rough.
Which is how the kart works. It's like your 3Gs in the corners. So,
have you ever done flat track?
on a motorcycle?
Anything. I just did my first flat track race a few weeks ago, and there was a lot of four-wheel like classes out there, three-wheel and four-wheel. And I saw some of the kart guys, and they were getting buck wild. They were some of the wildest classes to watch. Cause,
they got some of the 500 two-stroke alcohols, and they got 450 Hondas, and
I forget the class. The biggest one, I'd say they're 125s. They were all like because they had the quarter midgets going too, but then I think these were like 125 about size. But they looked out of control the entire time, and they ran like 8 at a time out there. I'm like, that's kind of wild. But that was one of the bigger classes actually. The flat track was all the kart guys. I had no idea. I've never been to one.
I've been to one dirt track, but I was only there for about half hour, so I didn't really get to check it out.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, but it's really different, you know?
Yeah, like Bob at Albany, he had kart races out there on his little oval he had there for a while.
Oh, the little oval?
Yeah, he had a small oval out there, basically in the one corner of the pits.
Think it's still there.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, when you go park at Albany off to the left, they got that small oval there.
Yeah, it's right along the highway.
I parked on it one time. I camped actually on it.
Yeah.
So it's still there.
The last time I was there, leaving the practice day, there was a couple guys that showed up after motor practice was over, testing in some new 450s they'd set up, and it was no joke. It looked like a workout too, those guys, because it's so short. On a 450 MX bike, it was like put that thing in third gear and just muscle it around. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
And sliding, and still like you're trying to ride out of control and look for grip. That's crazy to me, right?
Yeah.
It seems so counterintuitive. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of similar to like drifting with cars, where it's like those guys build the cars to have a ton of front end grip, and they run extremely expensive, high end, grippy, nasty tires in the front because that's how they control the car. The back end, is loose, and you modulate it accordingly. That's crazy. Like,
Yeah, well, you talk like flat track, like if you know who Jim Pomeroy is, that's one reason why he was so good is because he flat tracked as well before motocross.
Back in the day, didn't a lot of them kind of switch it up?
Yeah, like
you
when
don't
I started, my
see
dad,
as much now.
we went to some flat tracks. He wanted to know if I wanted to do that, and I was kind of like, nah, it's too fast for me. I want to catch air anyway.
Yeah, especially. It's so funny though. So when I went and did that flat track race, all of those guys are like, "You're a motocrosser, you're crazy. You hit those doubles and triples." And I'm looking at the track like, "You're sliding on your foot with no front brake."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You're crazy." It's just perspective, you know what I mean? They all think motocross is so scary because of the jumps, and I'm looking at it like, you guys are crazy for going around that circle like that fast.
We went and watched when I was first starting out, and all the big time AMA guys used to race a lot all through Oregon, Washington, and they'd have huge classes, and there's always a big wreck and people getting hauled away, and that's kind of like, nah, that's not for me.
Yeah, because you're going fast, you're kind of out of control, and the ground's not very forgiving.
Yeah.
There's one good thing, like, if you crash the first moto at Washougal, you might be fine. They disc it so deep, you got a little cushion. End of the day, Mountain View is like the opposite.
Yeah, it's concrete.
It's concrete, yeah, and that's what flat track is. It's concrete, basically. But, so, I'm sorry, again, what year did you start racing?
1972.
What got you into it back then? How old were you?
I was 15.
15? What got you into that? Like, what made you think at that, like, I'm going to go race moto?
Well, kind of a weird thing. My dad raced before I was ever born,
Okay.
but no one ever told me that. How I got started in it was at the grocery store, picked up a motorcycle magazine and saw an Interam race of all the European guys and went, oh, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen, is those guys jumping their dirt bikes. And I just, from then on, that's what I knew I wanted to do. So it's kind of like people say it's in your blood or something, from your dad or whatever. I kind of believe that. And all the time of going racing with my dad when we went, he never ever told me a story of it.
Really?
of him racing.
He just let it be.
Yeah, we were talked about what he had to do for work on the next week, you know.
Do you think it just wasn't important to him, or?
I kind of think so, yeah.
Interesting. So he went to the track with you, but he never talked about when he raced.
No,
Interesting. So someone finally told you though?
yeah.
Okay.
There was always a trophy on a thing, and I'd always ask when I was a kid, what's, you know, this, oh, your dad raced motorcycles. That was the end of it. I had his helmet, his leather coat, a Harley coat that he had, and he raced BSAs, flat tracking in Southern Oregon.
Oh wow.
So kind of weird.
Wow.
I finally had to make him tell me stories before he passed away, but
He just never brought it up though.
no.
You think you'd bring it up? I mean,
You'd
racing's
think.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
He never told me how to ride.
So despite him used to race, never telling you, you decided to get a bike. You thought it was cool. You got into it.
Yeah, he got me a bike.
Okay. Did you ever want to take it serious, or was it always for fun?
That was always for fun, just to see, you know, if you could ever really do it.
Did you get it?
Each time it's a different level, you know. I want to beat that guy someday, you know. I want to be in the intermediate, make it to the intermediate class someday. And as far as like getting to the pro class, I never ever thought I'd ever be able to do that. It's just something you keep going,
It's crazy. Like
and you get better and better, you know.
you like the more skill you get and the more you can do on the bike, the more fun it gets. Like, you know, it never stops. It never stops. Like the better you get, the more
Yeah.
opens it up to like, oh, I could possibly do that, or I could do that.
Yeah.
It's like it never plateaus unless you get scared or big injuries. I get that. There's certain or money, you know.
Yeah.
But like it's crazy. The better you get on the bike, I don't care if it's road racing, dirt bike, flat track, whatever. On a motorcycle, the more fun it is. It never stops. You can just keep going. Like, especially for us mere mortals, if you will, you know?
Yeah.
The top 1% of the 1%, I'm sure those guys, there's a reason why Carmichael don't ride that much anymore and stuff like that, you know? Like, they
Yeah.
made their billions and millions.
He
And,
put his laps in.
yeah, he's done. He's good. He can probably take
Yeah.
a 15-year hiatus and go, I don't need to see a dirt bike again.
It's like, as far as my dad teaching me anything about it, it was like I started to get fairly good. Like win a moto here, crashing this one. And my dad was like, "Guy, you don't know how to ride. You need to watch this guy if you want to be a motocrosser." And he pointed to Barney Newman, and it was like, because he's the smoothest guy there was, and well, I bugged the Newmans to death. You know, I watched every move he did and how he rode, and I bugged his mom and dad to death. You know.
So how far did you take it? How far did you end up taking it from the time you started when you were 15 to like, what would you say was your biggest accomplishment?
I qualified for Washougal,
And that's a decent
500,
500 class.
What
Yeah.
year?
82.
What
I
kind of
tried
bike?
in 81 and crashed in the LCQ. Didn't qualify. I was on a 430 Husky.
Oh,
82 was a 80 RM 500.
So still, those are still no disc brakes, drum brake, free
Yeah.
air, correct?
Yeah.
Twin shock as well?
No, Suzuki had a single shock.
Okay.
I thought they
Huskies
did,
had
yeah.
2 shocks.
Yeah, you went through the whole. You got to see dirt bikes from when they were junk lawnmower technology.
Yeah.
Not that they're not overpriced lawnmowers now today, but
Yeah.
like that to all like disc brake, production bikes coming out with like really tunable, good
We
suspension.
had electric start.
Yes, aluminum chassis, four-stroke, like all the big fuel injection, all the big ticket items that were game changers. That's crazy.
The
Man.
whole history of motocross almost, because I
Pretty
started
much.
following it before I ever raced.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you got to see quite a few different eras of moto, from when it went water cooled
Yeah.
to away from the twin shocks to the singles and the whole thing. Wow, yeah.
it's like 82 was the last air cooled that had water cooled 250s, and then 80, I guess it was 82, I had a water cooled 250 RM.
That's right when they're switching over.
Yeah.
So you qualified for Washougal.
Yeah.
How'd that go? How was that? Was that just awesome when you actually like went across and like I qualified and made it?
Yeah, well, actually, it was pretty tough.
Why?
And it's like, so you know Rick Wilder.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, he'd come to Bend, him and his dad and his brother. They'd roll in, you know, Milwaukee Yamaha guys, and they'd have the trickest gear imaginable, Jado jerseys, the white Yamahas from Canada, you know, right in the pro class. And it was like, oh, those guys are bad, you know. And then so at that national in the LCQ, I got the hole shot, and then like third turn, I'm like, oh, what do I do now? Run over the berm and about crash, and me and Rick raced for the last couple spots in the main. We both made it, and
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
and that was the year they had 3 classes. They had 125, 250, and 500.
Yeah, they haven't had the 500 class for a while. That's a gnarly class, though.
Yeah.
Those are some. I mean, you had to be a man to ride those bikes. I'm thoroughly impressed with everyone who used to race professionally on a 500. I've ridden a couple 500s, and the whole time I'm like, I can't feel my hands. Like when you do find that power band, I mean, you're like, oh, I mean, I've ridden a 450 for a while, but the 500 just hits different, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, how do guys
slow.
go fast on this?
We both rode the same bike, Justin.
A woodland.
A kind of sacked out 96 CR500.
Yes.
Because the suspension was undone, brakes were never serviced. Like, it mechanically was there, had good tires, but it was not set up. And I remember the feeling of just hitting the smaller tables and feeling the handlebars in air and just
Literally in air.
Like that. It was. I was like, I had so much respect. I was like, this is. And if you look at like a satellite team, like a good legit privateer, like I threw the Pro Circuit catalog at 450 nowadays, like they make more power than those bikes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you don't need
just-
it all.
But they
hits
also
different,
have
though.
amazing suspension, huge
Yeah.
brakes. Like they're violent. I don't know.
My
They're,
500 worked good. You guys kind of go, yeah, this thing works really good, and then you see the Marty Smith's factory 500 sitting there, and you're like, oh, could you imagine riding that, you know?
oh, truly balanced cranks,
Yeah.
no vibration, like factory.
My arm 500 was pretty tricked out, but it worked real well. But one thing you learn when I did that was like, yeah, I'll never make a living riding dirt bikes.
That was your end of the day thoughts?
Yeah.
How'd you end up doing, though, once you made it? Like,
Well, I finished, I think it was like 22nd or something, the first moto, and got a
Not
fairly
bad.
decent start. Second moto, had there 45 minutes then, so.
oh,
In August,
45 minutes on a 500.
Yeah,
dude.
so-
Like, God.
At the end of the day, so I pull over where my buddies are sitting, because I'm, you know how people do at the National when you're a back marker, you pull over and wait, or, so I pulled over by my buddies, they all started throwing beer cans at me, told me to keep going. So I kept going, and if I would have not stopped, I probably have made top 20, but I didn't. But at the end of the day, I had blood blisters under my blisters.
oh.
So, yeah. it's-
45-minute motos on a 500, man.
Yeah, I didn't ride for a couple of weeks after that.
So was that the only time you tried then after you qualified there?
I went to Hangtown, but I never did.
I didn't make it to
Yeah.
the like top 40.
Yeah, I did a lot of Hangtown amateur days in the expert class and stuff.
Okay.
But-
Well, that's something to say though, that you qualified and were able to do it in one of the gnarlier classes, a class we don't have anymore.
When you'd never think you'd ever, you know, get there. It's like when you start out and you get beat by a girl.
Yep.
Oh, you can't live that down. So you're motivated to go, last thing I do, I'm beating her, you know.
Yep. You know,
I have had Krista Buck jump stuff in front of me that I did not want to jump and been like, I'm doing this solely because she just went around me on the outside on her 250F and been like, well, now I have to do it. Like, just on the principle of the matter. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, my nemesis was Nancy Thomas at Medford, and she was winning the intermediate class, and she smoked me. So that's the first thing my dad said when we got back to work, you know, told the
no.
drivers that,
oh boy.
yeah, you got beat by a girl.
Oh.
Yeah, what a loser, you know.
Oh, that's rough.
What sucks about that is it's a compliment to her riding, and that shouldn't matter. But as a guy, as a male, like that, I don't care how
Yeah.
humble you are, it hits the ego.
Yeah.
It does,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right or fair, but it's just one of those things. Like you're just like, damn, because you know all your buddies are like, oh, they're gonna take a full advantage of it. Like you're
wasn't so
screwed.
much my buddies as everybody, you know, you worked with and stuff, you know.
Oh.
'Cause my buddies probably gonna got beat by her too, so they're not gonna say much.
I remember my first year actually moving up to big bikes, and I vividly remember the first time I got beat by a girl because it was bad. She took me out, and it was Tracy Fleming, and she straight took me out over a berm on my face, and like, I get up and like, I'm like 14, that one really wasn't very nice, and I look over, and I'm like, oh, there's long hair. I got taken out by a girl. I don't know if you remember Tracy though, but she did that to a lot of people.
That name sounds familiar.
She was old school women's pro motocross, and yeah, she had no problem going out and racing in like the guy classes, the age classes, and she got over 30. She did 30 plus classes, and she'd duke it out with the guys, and yeah, if you start battling with her, she'll probably put you over a berm.
Yeah.
I was in her way. But yeah, that you remember that, or at least I did, very vividly.
Yeah.
I just got smoked by a girl. It still happens to Reese.
Oh, all the time. Dude, did you watch any of the Lorettas for the women's class? Dude.
No, I have a lot of catching up to do.
Let me tell you this. The track was gnarly, and most of them there would blow you and me out of the water, dude. Any track, any day of the week. It was insane. Like, the top, definitely the top 3, those girls are no joke. Like, fast, bro. Like,
honestly, my only takeaway from Loretta's is, like, I think Levi Kitchen is an alien.
he's an alien. But did you...
That's my only takeaway, dude.
No, dude, because if I watched the 30 plus...
That and the electric bike class was weird.
Yeah. But...
40, just quiet, little 50s going around, like...
The track, though, dude, was gnarly.
Oh, yeah, you watch the P-dubs. I'm like, those poor little dudes.
I feel all the little bikes, dude, and like even like watching the 30 plus guys and going through the roster and 25 plus, and you see someone like that in the top 10. There's some heavy hitting names like former, legit, like dudes, and you watch them at like the 12-minute mark, and you're like, those boys got some arm pump, like they're feeling it, and it's just deep, loamy ruts, and like it was. I was like, that's no joke, man, and it's short. It's not super fast. I guess it doesn't look like on a 450. You're like, oh, you're wringing its necks out, but it's just rut after rut after rut after braking bump after chop hole after, oh, there's this one big triple I get to hit. Oh, thank God, I can loosen up my hand grip. Yeah. And then you're right back to just getting melee, dude, like gnarly. Yeah.
You mentioned Levi Kitchen. His dad just got a shifter cart.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. God, I want to try. It looks so fun. God.
We can only have so many hobbies. You're going to go do sidecar racing, Reese.
I know. I've done just like the
apparently he's going to race Huffman and no, sidecars, was that what you call them?
Yeah.
Sidecar motocross?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
That's a good way to die.
Hold on, time out. Don't try to just, I saw how you soft pedal. No, it's you and Carson Brown.
No.
Yeah, you guys are
They're
together.
trying to loop me into this.
No.
Yeah.
You guys are a team, and then me and Brandon are a team. It's going to happen.
I can already tell you Dwayne's going to say no. What if I
On
do with
MAV
Dwayne?
TV, on MAV TV, they show the sidecar GPs.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's awesome.
That is one sport I don't know if I want to do. I tried flat track. I want to do hill climb next. I'm down for wheels and a motor and whatever kind of combination for the most part, but this whole sidecar thing,
Dude,
So which would you rather be, the monkey or the pilot?
I don't know if I could be the monkey. I feel like I'm falling off.
I would like to be the monkey just from like road racing and like thinking about balance and stuff, like, because it's, as long as you guys have a plan, you get to practice, like, because those tracks, I mean, let's be realistic. Like, if we were going to do like a experimental race around here, it would be on a pretty open platform with minor jumps. It's like weight distribution, looking for grip, you know what I mean, and counterbalancing.
No, yeah. You watch those guys when they go into corners, just totally throwing their weight over.
Like
and then
you
have
see
to go
how
back.
gripped up the cages and stuff, and like how far off they get to lean. But that's what
Yeah.
you're looking for, grip and lean angle. You know, like the same thing.
I'd be the guy that fell out though.
You can't fall out. The
don't-
pilot wrecks.
Yeah, don't fall out.
I don't want to fall out. It's going to happen.
Step one: neither one of you two fall off or fall out. Don't just
Yeah.
stay on the bike.
Best place around here would be like Goldendale. It's kind of hard pack. You could slide. It's pretty wide.
Well, we were talking about doing.
They got some hills though. Coming down some of those hills with all that extra weight.
Yeah.
It's going to burn up some brakes.
Well, we
It's
talked
the
about
best thing.
that.
Downhills, man.
But you have to stop at the bottom.
Yeah, that's how I learned downhills. I like downhills
Why do you like downhills?
because it's just a straightaway.
A very fast straightaway.
Yeah.
You have to brake at the end.
Yeah.
You know the Washougal, what is it, ski jump? Is that what they call it with the drop down thing?
Yeah.
That thing has scared me for 20 years.
What about Ward Creek?
I didn't really spend any much time there. That's unique though. That
Coming over the top of the hill and then down the next side.
there's some puckers there too.
Yeah.
But I just didn't ride it much. Washougal I put a lot of laps on, you
Yeah.
know. Well, I don't know. We just never really went to Ward Creek.
The reason I got good at downhills is because when I was first starting to ride, I went to a cross-country race. And there's this big downhill. Fuck, I didn't know what I was doing. I just go till I pull on the front brake and crash. Get up, crash. Then finally you're like, screw that. Then you're just trying to bulldog it down the rest of the hill while these guys that can ride are going brap, right by you, and you're like, okay, I got to learn how to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Did you really do any off-road then?
Not really.
Never really tried much of that?
I did Trask. I got a gold medal in the 30 expert class. That's my claim to fame on off-roading.
Have you ever done the Hangover at Washougal?
No. I've done the GP series they used to have there.
Oh, okay. Doing
I've
it.
done 3 or 4 of those. And Mountain View, they used to have a
Yeah.
Mountain View, Washougal.
Yeah, I actually promoted one at Mountain View just a few years ago.
Yeah.
We kind of threw one in just to try it for fun.
Yeah, they had big series. I
Um,
can't remember what year it was now.
Would you?
But Washougal on January 1st
No,
in the
that'd be bad.
snow, I
No,
will
I'm not
tell
doing
you
that.
that I do not understand how some of those people go so fast. Because
Yeah.
Okay, we did it on pit bikes one year in Santa outfits. That was actually kind of fun. But you're coming down some of the hills of the windy, greasy Washougal hills,
With tree
and
roots
like brakes do
and
nothing.
rocks.
Oh yeah, those roots.
It's fun. Like, it's one of those things where, like, every time we've done it as like a joke or showed up on bikes that were like just as like fun. We just been known for wearing Santa outfits and
I
costumes.
went in Sasquatch last year.
It's been a freaking blast, and it's a hell of a way to start the year off. But it's that it gets so gnarly, and there's
So
like
bad.
25 dudes sitting on a trail.
I was literally just gonna say
and
that you go to
everybody's going like this. We're all been sitting here for 15 minutes. I mean, time's ticking away, and nobody can make it up this one small trail because it's so deep and
you're diving around those tight trails in the summer. There's just people
and fall
everywhere.
over
just-
and like.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's so dynamic. Every year's different. Sometimes you get ice, which is terrifying. Sometimes you just get a true mutter. Sometimes you get like kind of in between, which I'd say is the best, where you have a little bit of base to work with, and it might be slippery, but like you don't get those deep ruts where you're just like, dude, I can't. My bike weighs 80 pounds more, and I mean, if you pick the wrong rut, even out in the
We've probably
field,
all done a true mutter at Washougal, right?
I did the worst mutter I ever did at Washougal. They ran the track backwards, so I had to go down Horsepower Hill. Once and again, it's you just see skid marks all the way down Horsepower Hill. I don't know why they ran it backwards.
We raced that backwards in 80 something.
It's unique. The ski jump is actually kind of fun going up it.
Yeah.
I do not like going down Horsepower Hill. You get going so
Did
fast.
you go all the way to the top, then down, and then up over the hill? Yeah.
Yeah, we went over the second
Yeah,
hill
you'd
section.
fly almost to the flat.
Yeah.
When you clear that. Took a while to build up to that.
They haven't really ran that in a long time.
No.
Yeah.
I've always thought they should run the National that way.
run it
Well,
backwards.
they,
But now they'd come over, they go so fast because they just scrub the top of that and just, So like we did in the old days, you just catch air and
did people not scrub as much back then?
no.
No, okay.
Like, dude, how about Blake Baggett, dude, sending it like off the anthill into the sand pit and stuff that year? Like, it was insane. Like, how deep some of those guys are willing to go. It's a testament to kit suspension, true athletes, and that full send, I'm getting paid mentality. Because they're different. That's a different level of commitment. To just stay on it and just go, I got it. It'll be fine. It's like, are you kidding me? That would be death for 99% of us to be in that position. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, dude.
Yeah, I'm good with watching most of those guys do that stuff rather than, I'm good with just watching.
Dude,
it.
hard pass. Jumping, like, because we get those rollers, and they're trying to clear the sand at that point, right? They're almost trying to get to the end of it wide on 450s. It's like, that's to flat. There's no, you're jumping into a hill at that point. You know, you're not landing downhill. It's like, dude, no. Hard pass.
Yeah.
I like to just kind of go over the top and kind of throw a little butt whip over it.
And then I get into the sand and I kind of do my thing and then I get out. Yep, dude.
Well, a lot of things they used to have on old school tracks were drop away jumps, which they don't really have anymore.
No, they don't.
Or you'd fly off and just land onto flat, Those were all, I like those.
Even watching Supercross, even like mid-2000s to the tracks today.
Yeah.
Because I've got all the YouTube, the older, like Carmichael, Stewart, Chad era and stuff.
Yeah,
Tracks are so different.
I have almost every motorcycle program that's ever been on TV on videotape.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Even track design and like the way they hold up.
And it's like, okay, there's no doubt in my mind they don't use as much dirt for a Supercross track now. Tracks are all narrower, they're all smaller.
Way different setup too. They're faster.
Yeah, they're easier. They're made for 4 strokes.
They're a lot faster. That's one thing I noticed is like mid-90s Supercross, it was very technical.
Yeah.
A lot of tight stuff and kind of jump corner combo stuff.
Yeah, they should go. I've always thought they should go back to that now that 4 strokes actually handle now. Because that's kind of why they went to the way they did, because four-strokes couldn't competitively run those old tracks.
When you look at
But
like
now they can.
the top guys, the guys that are the top 1%, the 1% that are truly gifted, they're going to do, or you get somebody like Stewart where he's like, I'm going to make a quad that everybody else went, oh, absolutely not, we're not doing that. He's going to be the one guy that does that. But that's so few and far between, where it's like, make it more technical, and so that block passing and make it where it's like, because the bikes are so good and they have so much power now, it's like guys can stop and go, oh, well, I'm still going to hit the triple out of the corner. Raw, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like now, though, they all know every triple on the track's third gear. In those days, they were never the same 2 weeks in a row, you know.
When the test tracks nowadays, like that, I'm sure that the creme de la creme factory guys,
They got copies of what they're going to
they
do.
know, like, we're going to make you test on what we know is going to be built, so you guys are
Yeah.
just that much more precise. I mean, I'm sure it all comes, it's the trickle-down theory, you know? Yeah. Make it more, so block passing and stuff doesn't, or even on a factory 450, you go, ooh, I got shut down, I'm not going to be able to make it to that triple. Or make it it could be a triple, but it's a single to what would be a tabletop, so guys can short it and stuff and play with it, you know, but make it bigger, because, you know, the fans like seeing big air, right? The technical side of it, people that ride will understand, like, that's gnarly that those guys are going that far, but make it, because like 252 stroke Supercross,
There's
like,
consequence.
it was different.
Yeah.
Guys could shut each other down and go, oh, we're both doubling this now. Neither one of us had the momentum, but I just changed. You know, you don't get to just sweep around the outside. I'm gonna take your line, and we're both screwed. You know, that's way different. Instead of being able to both go, park it, whop, and 75 feet. That's crazy. You know.
It's like, I don't know how you guys think about it, but the difference between tracks now and then, now they're one line. Doesn't matter if it's outdoors or Supercross. There's one or two lines.
There are definitely a bit more
There used to be
one-line.
multiple lines, and there's a reason for that. It's like in the old days for practice, you'd get a couple hour sessions for an outdoor. Well, during practice, they got, they're getting ruts here, so they got and put a hay bale there, so you got to go make another line to go around the hay bale. They did the same thing in Supercross in practice, because you got practice, not a qualifying practice. So they go out, there's two rutted here, they put a hay bale here and a hay bale there. So they're building 4 different lines with the motorcycles. Like you go to an outdoor track or any track now where they run 4-strokes, they build the berm for the guys. They take the cat out and there's a berm in the middle of every corner. You know, always the motorcycles built that. It starts out flat and the motorcycles build those
Make their
berms.
own, So you think the tracks are a little too easy now, or too one-lined?
Oh, totally 2-1 line.
Well, especially for those gifted, right? Those guys like a Tomac, like the top of the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those guys they're gonna go lightning fast regardless, and especially you give them something to plan on. Oh, they're gonna go that much faster. You know? It's like.
To me, I still think they should have an open practice where how they used to do it to make more lines.
And let it lie where it lies.
Yeah.
Don't change it or scrape it.
Because then they come out, they pull the hay bales back, and then here's those lines they covered up plus the new ones they made. So there's 4 or 5 lines here instead of 2.
That would be cool.
Like when you start the first couple heats of Supercross, there's just 2 lines generally, and throughout the night they'll get 3 or 4. And they always talk about ruts in Supercross, so they need to go watch like Seattle Supercross if they want to talk about ruts.
You know, Europeans, I think, got it figured out. Because when they race the Amex GPs, they're like, here we go. And they don't really do much to it, and they just let
Well,
you
they
go.
don't. Plus they have those hour-long practices.
Yes.
Plus they have qualifying races for gate pick.
Those guys.
And they don't groom the track.
No, they
except
do
to
not.
start.
They're just like, there you go. It's what
Yeah.
you're racing on today. What happens, happens. And I think it's kind of making their riders better.
That's why they keep winning the motocross designations.
Yeah, we've kind of fallen off the horse there.
Yeah.
we didn't need to bring that up, guys. Come on.
I just saying, I think the Europeans are starting to pick it up, man. We got a problem.
They still care.
I was actually. Oh my God. Yes.
He gets a point on the board.
I was actually watching some footage from last year from the MXGPs with my buddy the other day, and dude, their sand tracks and stuff, and like what those guys race on. I get it. They don't have Supercross. That's their focus. So it's unfair. Like people that try to compare like Carmichael to the guys of that, like be like, oh well, if we had them all in the same place, same time, it's one time a year that happens for the best of the best.
Carmichael beat them all.
the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
But
That was then. That's not the last
We were doing
Right.
good back then.
6 or 8 years.
Now we've been struggling.
well, and you watch
It's
those.
because of how they do the nationals. It's the one-day format.
You watch that stuff though, like the tracks over there, and like the top factory guys, dude, and especially in like the 450 or the MXGP, the 1 class, I believe. Yeah, they don't give an F, dude. The guys that are in shape, like they ride loose as fast, and they just. It looks like they're gonna crash most of the time, and they just never
Just
let off.
watch Jeffrey Hurlings for a lap. Just
Dude,
sit
yeah.
back and just watch him.
It's insane.
Just absolutely stretch the throttle cable, leaning off the back of the bike, just fourth gear tapped into deep,
Dude,
2 foot
and
ruts.
they're jumping stuff that we would look at and go, it's gonna be difficult to navigate rolling over that.
They launch out into foot-deep ruts.
Oh, and and it's like they don't even look. They're just.
Yeah.
I've got other stuff to worry about, and on the throttle, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And the sand over there, like on video, looks gnarly, and that's
Yeah.
saying something because.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
'cause
have
if you
sand
really
tracks
look
like they
at
have
it,
sand tracks.
it's way worse than it looks on TV.
Well, I mean, like people I've talked to that have raced and been to Southwick at nationals have been like, it's bad, and they've said the same thing. It ain't like what it is over there, and that's our sand
Well,
track.
a few
you know,
years ago, like when Carmichael raced, they actually did not prep Southwick. They ran amateur races, and the pros never touched it all week.
Oh.
And it was gnarly, though. You did it like 2 years in a row, and then everybody complained too much, and they went back to grooming the track. And Carmichael dominated.
Yeah, we don't have the tracks like the Europeans have. They just, they don't prep it and they just let it go. You put in way more laps during the whole process of the event, you know, and
And more races, too, because they run like a 2-stroke races alongside the GP
Yep.
guys.
and there's some heavy hitters that do that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think the results are showing. They're kind of been kicking our butt in the, when the one time a year we all meet. We haven't been doing so great.
Yeah, plus some of the guys that should ride it don't. So
Well, that's a problem.
Eli needs to go redeem himself.
Well, we don't have it this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, next year.
I'm surprised we have anything this year. You know what? Everyone needs to
Yeah.
be thankful for any event that we have in 2020 because
I think you can ride your dirt. Practice is
be thankful you can just ride your dirt bike at this point. Sheesh. One thing I wanted to bring up to you. Actually, there's a few things I was going to try to remember to talk about because we could honestly do a 4-hour podcast probably of all the different fun stuff in moto. But going back to that time, was it Washougal that we parked next to each other doing like the nameplate thing? Or what?
Yeah,
No, it was
Washougal or
Clark County.
County.
Was it
Clark County was the first time, yeah.
I remember seeing you a lot at Washougal, but you used to be one of the nameplate guys in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Jak Bakz.
Number plates for your body.
Yeah. When did you start doing that?
About the same time you did, maybe a little bit earlier.
I think you were doing it before me because I remember seeing you around. I think it was you and then Mike Shield used to do them.
Yeah, you did it before I did.
He did like the laminated type things.
Yeah,
Man,
I started with those.
Okay. Yeah. Same here. And then kind of worked my way up.
Yes, that's the same thing. So you got into the printing stuff. I'm like, I got to make so many damn backgrounds and pay for that thing. I'll just do my job.
Oh, the printer started getting more and more expensive,
Yeah.
and then I was stuck in it, and I just kind of went. It's crazy to think I literally did start though, like in the printing scene was just like, I had a nice desktop printer that I saved up for writing all my cycle news articles, and I remember I got a laminator and all excited trying to figure that thing out, and but yeah, you were doing it. You did a lot like vinyl, like cut vinyl ones too, and like the plastic.
I still got a huge box of those if you want to buy them.
Oh, I do too. And no one does them anymore, but that was like the cool thing back in the
Nobody
day.
wears them now. They're all about like neck braces, and those are kind of going away too.
And those are starting to go away too. I don't wear one. I wear under like a smaller light version under my jersey
Well,
now.
here's the thing, man. If you look, because I thought about like out of nostalgia, being like, you know what, man, like if you think about it, a true over the jersey actual chest protector versus what they call a roost guard is way more protection, bang for the buck. Like
I was always an HRP guy.
They don't.
Me too.
But like if you look nowadays, most of the major manufactured gear companies, it's
don't
hard
make
to
them.
Yeah, it's hard to even
Yeah.
find something like that. Everybody wants the slim fit. It fits under your jersey for that look.
Yeah.
But I think the old school, I like it. It's cool. I
But
mean,
the older school, the best protection ever was the Jaffa chest protectors you wore under your jersey. That had shoulder caps.
Oh,
They're
were they
kinda
like
like a-
white?
Yeah, they had white caps and stuff on them.
I
took a lot of diggers wearing
think
that
I've seen
thing.
one.
And it
It's almost
protected
like-
the best from that, because your jersey held that thing down. Instead of like in a HRP or something, when your shoulder hits the ground,
Yep.
it kind of peels away. But
HRPs were comfy though.
yeah,
That was one thing I liked. Those
except
things
for
were
the
comfy.
arm guards.
I didn't run the arms.
I didn't either.
I just popped those.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny? If you look at it nowadays, like in downhill mountain biking and stuff, their upper body suits and stuff, and even some like the off-road sold trail lines for gear is way more legit protection than what motocross guys wear. Because most of us nowadays, neck brace or not, it's a hot topic. It's a slight, like I wear like the Troy Lee, it's a plastic chest protector, but it's designed to fit under the jersey, so it's slim. No shoulder protection. I took all that stuff off because I thought I was cool, you know what I mean? And no arm, like no elbow pad, no nothing. The downhill guys, they wear jerseys and stuff, but they have full, the upper body suit. It's
Yeah.
You
a
got the
plastic
things,
guard.
too, the air things.
Yeah.
When
And
they
it-
hit the ground, it inflates.
and it's like plastic elbow guard built in. You got like old school,
Yeah.
like an old school motocross chest protector, but even better. And it's funny you think about like nowadays with how fast the bikes are and stuff. We've almost all progressed to like wearing less gear. Like the
Literally.
boots, knee braces are better. Yeah, 100%. Boot quality and tech is stronger.
I don't know
yes.
about the boots. I don't know.
Not convinced we have better boots?
They might be a little bit better, but
What about helmets?
helmets for sure.
Yeah, the mid
Dude, I
system
was
and-
one of the last guys wearing an open face helmet.
Oh yes, that's gnarly. That's no joke.
So in 1976, I wore a Scott face mask, and I did an endo. After my front wheel hit the ground, the next thing that hit the ground was my face,
Oh,
and it knocked me out. But I got no damage other than a little mark on my nose.
just from one of those face masks.
Yeah,
Wow, okay.
so those worked pretty well.
How long did you rock that before you finally switched over to full face?
Oh, a long time, because those things were ugly for a long time. That's one of the last guys. I wore a Jaffa or a Scott face mask.
You know, the moto industry really had a rough go for a long time in looking good. Like the whole when I first got into anything like artsy, I wanted to paint helmets. Was not that good at it. And I eventually went into the nameplate thing. But like, the helmets were horrible. They were horrible. So everyone wanted a painted helmet because the ones off the shelf and like, who exactly
I've never
designed
had
that? Like,
had a painted helmet.
I did learn to drop them. I never could afford.
Oh, I never drop it. I ain't scratching that thing till I have to.
You know what? I thought that until I had a freshly painted helmet and got the whole shot, second corner, ended up leaving a big old streak of the paint from that helmet down the side of the Clark Henry and across the wall. Because I don't know what I did, but I smacked that wall. I woke up and whole track shut down. And there's like 4 or 5 people standing around me like this, looking at me. Like, oh, I should have dropped the first thing that went through my head, I didn't drop my helmet.
Dude, I'm not a very superstition person, but when it comes to motorcycle stuff, I've learned you drop your helmet, or at least nick it on the tailgate of the truck, and like
you drop in the grass or something. But
Yeah,
Dude, it
it's like-
costs too much, man.
no, my first the first bill I
Like
had
you
to
take
buy.
your thumbnail and go, oh, there we go. Was that count? Would that
don't know.
count?
The last
I'm putting it where nobody's seeing it.
the last new bell I bought, my first full carbon bell with the Mibs and stuff, I got it. Jason Matthews brought it from Beaverton and gave it to me at PIR, and we were riding our pit bikes around and hanging out. I took that thing and I was like, all right, man, because
You know, you've damaged it.
4 weeks before that, I was wearing a bell and at PIR, and it's my fault, but I TKO'd my head, and everybody's like, oh, the helmet's junk. I found the upper bolt out of my clutch perch was in the vent of the helmet. So that one was on the wall.
I was grabbing his helmet, shaking it like, what's going on there?
So, and even especially with like the road race stuff, oh, you get a new suit or like a leather jacket or whatever, oh, that, you take it out,
Oh.
you throw it on the concrete.
No.
Oh, absolutely, no, and you give it that, it's touched.
Mitch is like, no, you don't do that.
No,
My 250.
that's all in your mind. man.
No, it makes me feel better. When I went to the two-stroke nationals last year, and I had my almost 30-year-old crisis build 252 stroke, spent way too much money on. I remember sitting out to go up for first practice at Glen Hill, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm even here. I can't believe it. And I didn't do it on the pipe side because I'm a gentleman, but I sat out there and I was warming the bike up, and I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to go. I killed my bike, and I turned the handlebars, and I leaned, and I didn't drop it, but I got it about to here, and I let it hit the dirt, and I'm like, Get it out of the way.
Oh, I'd never
That's a
do
step
that.
further than I would.
Yeah,
no.
I know, because it's like I cannot afford to replace these A-kit forks that I have on this bike. I'm just gonna, it's gonna hit the dirt. I just get it out of the way, you know. Like, and I felt better about it. It's just a weird thing in your head, you know. Yeah, if I get a new helmet from now, I'm dropping it.
But in moto though, the first time you wear it, you're going to get dinged from the roost alone.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
So-
No,
Yes.
it doesn't
So
make
it doesn't
sense.
matter.
But it's just a mental thing. I don't know. It's like a checks and balances. You know, like you.
I didn't take it serious until the first time I had a painted helmet. That's what I went and did. Now I'm a little superstitious.
It doesn't. Like I said, I don't have any factual information to back it up. But I don't know. Nowadays, yeah,
I've heard that. I've heard about that. So, but I've never been that guy.
And I'm not going to drop my custom Troy Lee painted $700 helmet, like throw it. But I mean, I'm going to set it right here and go, okay.
This is the Pacific Northwest. It's either going to be a screwy helmet or a Blosian.
Let's be honest. If we could afford it, you get a Troy Lee because they're sick and they still paint lids.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
an
they
OG.
do.
If you want to talk about that, I mean,
I've got an XL kart helmet. XL painted my helmet, but he used to paint Mike Young's helmet,
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
that's why I had him do it.
You know, it was crazy. Story actually I've told on this podcast about an old friend of yours, Fletch.
Yeah,
He had a McGrath helmet.
yeah.
And where were we? I think we were at Goldendale. And he was riding with me and my dad. And on one of his Husabergs. And another bike I don't miss. But he pulls out his McGrath helmet. And my dad's like, wait, you're going to wear that?
Yeah.
Most comfortable helmet I got. My dad's like, I'll buy you a different helmet. Don't wear a signed McGrath helmet. And Russ was like, why? It's just a helmet.
Well, all of Russ's helmets, so you know, because of the shape of his head, he'd have to take his hammer and div it in the front of every helmet he wore for his forehead clearance.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, every helmet. He's taking his ball peen hammer and
Inside the helmet.
denting in the styrofoam to.
That's
I
wild.
guess he
did
had a
not
weird
know that.
hump here or something. I
Yeah,
never
well,
knew.
he kind of did have a big head too. I don't know. We have so many good stories from Fletch back in the day. That is one guy I truly miss.
Yeah.
And I think you were a lot better friends with him than he.
It's like Fletch Trick. That was when me and him were going to have a motorcycle shop.
Really?
It's Fletch and Kirkpatrick. That's where we came up with that.
When was this? You're going to have a bike shop?
I can't remember. 80 something probably.
In the 80s. Wow. How did you ever meet him?
I met him in 75 or 6 or something in Bend. Him and Monty Mitchell came over to race in Bend,
Okay.
and that's where I met him. And when I moved over here, and I'd always see him at the races, you know, all the time. Him and Monty, so
So just ran into him at one of the events,
Yeah.
chatted with him a little, and
yeah.
became buddies with him.
I think Russ came over with Monty, and Monty knew somebody else from Bend
Okay.
that I knew, so that's how we all met.
What was it like hanging out with that guy?
Monty?
No, Russ.
Russ?
Yeah.
Oh, we had the greatest times always.
Russ, I loved his kind of just attitude on life.
Yeah.
He was a unique guy. I think he just looked at a lot of stuff differently than
He's
us.
an eccentric machinist.
Well, he was just short of a savant. And like some of this, when he would start trying to explain something to me, I mean, we're just like, kind of just blinking stupidly,
Yeah.
you know. And he was telling about doing this type of stuff, or we could try this. Or
It's all self-taught.
And which is wild.
Blows your mind.
Yeah. And you just, once he starts getting the wheels turning and he tries to explain it to you, and then he realizes you're not getting it.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay. He's like, just wild stuff. And he built me some wild bikes too.
Yeah.
He actually built me a bike too fast. I had to sell it. He built me a 150R. And yeah, he asked me quite a few times how I wanted this or the power band. And I'm like, I like to ride on top, you know, especially 150R. It's basically a pit bike. And he's like, so I don't need a lot of bottom. He's like, all right. So he builds it.
Which is
He's like,
screamed.
I got you 9 horsepower, by the way. No, 9? You got me 9 more horsepower? What'd you do when I saw the bill? I was like, okay. But like, I don't want to know what all you took apart and reassembled and shaved and whatever. But that thing, yeah, it would just lug off the bottom. And then when it hit, I'm like, I don't know if I can ride this. It would just snap into a wheelie. And he's like,
It's like a small 500.
yeah, and those 150s are kind of stubby.
Yeah.
And he's like, by the way, you can only run race gas now. Oh, well, that just got a lot more expensive too.
Absolutely.
And he kind of just quit asking questions and just built it and ground up, like completely took it apart, made an oil cooler completely. He like CNC'd this part to fit here, made his own oil cooler system for that 150R, and it was wild. But I was a little scared to ride it, and I had to sell it. it was literally just short of unrideable.
Yeah, he built his jet ski motors, and Truden welded the cranks, and it's a super stock, but they lasted forever, where other people's stuff blew up.
I remember Justin, a good buddy of ours, who knew him well, was telling stories like, oh yeah, but just like with the Husenbergs and stuff, being like, he'd just push them till they just blow up, like if they wouldn't make it more than 15 minutes, and we just back it off a little bit from that, and then there's a race engine. But I was like, that was his, because you ain't gonna know until you find the limit, so we'll just make it as nasty as it possibly can and be like, it's gonna detonate with the fuel that we're legally allowed to run, and then we'll thicken up the base gasket a little bit and call it a day. It was like, that's a gnarly way to go about it. Like,
so, you remember the four-stroke nationals, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think Russ can build some crazy stuff. So, there's a guy named Barry from Arizona. He used to build, Jimmy Lamassus used to ride for him.
That's a throwback. Okay.
Yeah, so that guy, he should have been a drag race guy because his stuff was so fast, it's incredible, but it didn't last. He had dry ice, aluminum box. You put dry ice in to put around the intake to cool the fuel before it went in the carburetor.
Huh.
Yeah, under the seat of the Husaberg.
So it's running dry ice while you're riding. Like there's a dry ice.
Yeah, there's dry ice there, and the fuel goes through that before it goes to the carburetor.
That is wild.
It's cool.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Like,
yeah.
Nowadays with like the new like U4 and MR12 and stuff, like the road race guys are pickling in their fuel, putting it like, because once you crack that vapor seal and you run it, you put it in like cold, and you pickle it and you change it out instantly after the bike's done. Like it's crazy. Like if you want to play the fuel game, that's a whole science behind itself. Like yeah,
we had a lot of fun doing those four-stroke nationals back in the day.
I remember that was really cool, and it seemed crazy they were racing four-strokes that competitively.
Yeah.
And then over the years, like, oh, okay, here once the 400 and everything came out, but before then,
and
man,
that's where Honda developed their
four-stroke
450
nationals.
Spud Walters and
I remember
Paul
Spud
Carpenter and
Walters,
those guys.
weren't they like White Brothers dudes too? Yeah. The four-stroke nationals, and we had a lot of Northwest boys do really good in those.
Yeah.
Let's see, who did I know? I'm pretty sure Terlecki did some.
Yeah, Terlecki did a lot.
Sullivan, didn't Rory do some?
Yeah. Jason McCormick.
McCormick did. Mike Corder.
Yeah, Corder. Corder won the title one year too, I'm pretty sure.
I think he did.
One of the last years they had it, I think.
You know, I've actually told
there were so many guys. It's like when we started doing that, and Don took it over, we'd get...
Who did Don take it over from?
From Mike Young Sr.
Is that who was running it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, not sure how that happened, but anyway, Don ended up with it, and we started to be 25 or 30 guys show up. And like I said, second or third, about the third year, I think, we'd have over 100 guys sign up in the pro class.
They got big.
We had qualifiers and everything.
They got big.
We went to some really cool tracks, and we went to some real shitty tracks.
Yeah, we had a lot of Northwest boys compete in that and do very well. I think Tiger Lacey did some too, right before it quit.
Yeah, he did a lot of them,
Yeah.
Everybody was a top pro from around here did them, pretty much.
Because it was mostly West Coast, right? It all stayed over in this side.
Yeah, there was East Coast series too. As a matter of fact, we went back to, they had a East-West shootout at Bluntville, Tennessee.
Oh, really?
We went back there and did that. And that's Mike Young Jr. won the East. So they had a shootout, Smale and Mike and everybody from the West and everybody from the East.
How could we forget Smale?
There.
We've been trying to get Smale on too.
Oh, yeah, he'd be a good one.
Oh yeah, here's some stories.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was that shootout. Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. And there's some jumps there that, like the national when it was there, they caught pretty good air, but all those guys they had an unimaginable huge jump that they're all jumping. As a matter of fact, like, so they still had XRs that they built.
That's
and
Mike
right? Brown,
like, what the hell?
Flying the real Mike Brown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was riding somebody's that had like the XR swing arm with the CR swing arm welded onto it, which White Brothers did that too. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah, to make them, you know, like a real motocross bike.
Oh,
They cut it off and grafted the rear of the CR.
oh.
Well, you
Swing arm
gotta get those
onto
better
them.
brakes and that linkage ratio. So sometimes you just gotta whack
Yeah,
it.
well, and that's what ended up happening to Mike Brown, and there's nobody faster at that track than Mike Brown, and so it happened to him. He ended up breaking the swing arm on one side.
That's
But in the 250 and 125 classes, he was just unbelievably fast.
Still
he won
fast.
everything. Yeah. As a
Ah,
matter of fact, I saw Bubba Stewart for the first time. He was on a 60.
out there?
Yeah, at Blumpville, and he was clearing the big tabletop that they had on his 60.
He was pretty wild as a mini bike
Yeah.
rider. Honestly, you know, watching Villapoto and Hill grow up, they were pretty wild too. Like
Yeah.
to see them, you'd always know when like Josh Hill showed up at Woodland because you'd be watching the 80 practice and out of nowhere you'd see some kid just launch something, throw
Yeah.
it sideways, like, oh, Josh is here.
Yeah.
There was just a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It stood out.
I made Jak Bakz for them too, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
For the Hills?
Yeah.
When did you quit doing the Jak Bakz? Or do you still do them?
I'd still make one if somebody wanted one.
When they really want, you still
Yeah.
do one?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's still around.
Yeah, I can still
Okay.
make one.
Just, yeah, it's not really a popular thing.
Yeah.
It went the way of the helmet fin.
Yeah.
Just,
Fins are coming back though.
Yeah.
I've noticed-
Kind of are. They kind
I
of
got
are.
like a sharp thing on the new
Yep.
bell that Webb and those guys had.
it's making a small little comeback.
Yeah.
There was a company, they got busted, but there was a company who actually scanned in the old school Troy Lee wing and are 3D printing them and selling it, and they keep, I think Troy Lee's keep taking them down. I'm like,
Oh,
well, if
do
you're
they?
going to take them down, you should just release the old
Yeah,
fin
make
again.
them again then.
Yeah, make the old fin, or the blinky light one.
I
Yeah.
miss the old school Troy Lee fin and the Troy Lee visor that everybody put HACs. It didn't matter what helmet you had. You had to have a
Yeah.
fin and a chrome visor, right? And it didn't matter. It could be any brand. That was sick. That
Yeah.
was sick. That was like such a, you
Now,
had to
yeah,
have it.
Here's the cool thing. You get the white showy helmet. You put
Ooh.
on the chrome visor, and you get the Troy Lee sticker kit with
Yes.
the sparkly checker flags.
Or the
Dude.
bubbles.
Or the bubble one.
The spark plug or like the Doug Henry,
Doug
like
Henry
the,
spark plug.
the carburetor with the eyeballs.
We all had those.
Yes.
That's one of my first jet ski helmets. I did that too.
Yep.
And I got a screwy design paint job. So.
That was my dad actually has the Doug Henry helmet with one of the old school carburetor dudes on there.
Yeah.
That was, man.
I
you-
remember it was a green one, a green helmet, showy green and kind of red brown.
I don't
The
know.
carburetor on the back. They wore in the 125 Nationals.
I've got two.
I don't know.
I've got the Troy Lee, like their 0506 SEs that are the black. One's black with the Dayglow orange, and it's got the carburetor with the flames coming out with the eyes on the side. That was the Doug Henry edition, and I have the blue one. Me and my dad bought those at the same day at the Snowmobile Expo. It was like, and I had no idea what the helmet meant at the time. And then growing up, and I luckily saved them, and we didn't ride in them a lot. And once we realized what they were, and we're like, and my dad's much of a collector type. He was, oh yeah, no, we're putting them on the shelf. We're not using them. I was like, what's the best helmet we have? He goes, it doesn't matter. We're saving them, and I still got them hanging up on the wall right now. Yeah, this is cool.
Did you say snowmobile?
Yep.
Oh, I raced snowmobiles before I ever got into dirt bikes.
Yeah, God, this
Oh,
is
no.
getting even better,
Oh,
man.
no.
Oh man, this is getting.
My
even
dad,
better.
our whole family raced snowmobiles. I was like 12 years old, 13 years old racing snowmobiles.
Oh
I was
no.
probably a better snowmobile racer than a dirt bike racer. 'Cause I was like 13 or 14. Won a cross country race, just riding a machine we built out of a blown up Ski-Doo Blizzard with a Alpine 750 stock fan motor that we put in it.
Oh, that's a real competitive race setup you had there.
Yeah, but that thing had so much torque. So I'm only like 13, 14, whatever I was. That thing had so much compression that it's like, good.
Oh yeah.
But you squirt some gas in the carburetor, and that's all it took. That
Yep.
thing would fire right up.
Well, my dad, he built, like, he was big time into the vintage stuff, and we had a couple like the old school Hearst 71 King Cats with the
Yeah.
triples. We had
Oh, yeah.
one 4-cylinder Kawasaki that we never finished. We ended up selling it to a buddy of ours. But yeah, you wrap the recoil around and you rip it once and you hope your jetting's right. And yeah, we had the no air filters, 44 Mikuni, old school round slides, with the bottle, and then
Yeah.
you get 1 or 2 shots, and after that you're tired. And if it don't start, it's staying in the trailer. Like,
Okay, so Ski-Doo had a Blizzard, a 292 3-cylinder.
Yep.
So the pistons were like this big around. Same thing, nobody could start them. So the shop we raced out of, Waltz Boats and Motors in Klamath Falls, is a chainsaw dealer. Take the bar off the chainsaw, put a pulley on there, and put a belt on it, and you put the belt around the clutch.
Yep.
You just keep turning that thing, pumping gas until it finally starts. And once you got it started, nothing could run with it.
That's like the
Yeah,
alcohol.
no silencers or nothing.
Oh no! Back then, and even because my dad raced, he was still running vintage free air sleds at the time before.
So they weren't vintage when we did it.
Well, well, my dad did. They were vintage, but it was like early to mid '90s, like free air 440, like 75Z Arctic Cats and stuff that were built to the nines. But yeah, that was back when even Oregon Snowmobile Association was still around, and we'd go do the grass drags and the winter drags during the winter. And yeah, back then, no restrictions, 2 strokes, 1,000cc built Thundercat engines with straight pipes, like no silencer. Just it was things were so loud. The sound of those though you can't describe it. It was epic.
So you guys did vintage. So you remember the Elan 250?
Yep.
Okay, so Ski-Doo made a Blizzard model of that, right? So they used to have a test facility in Twin Falls, Idaho. So in the summertime, those guys built grass drag machines. So they put an 800 in that thing.
Oh, perfect.
And literally that thing would peel back the grass like carpet when it would take off. But it'd do 110 miles an hour in the 800-foot drag strip. It's amazing.
Well, like when me growing up, we always did, for the grass drags for Washington and Oregon associations was always 500 foot. And I remember when they applied the rule, they started putting the first 20 feet, they would rip the track deep, and then they would put they'd build cribbing, and they'd put old snowmobile tracks down, because we'd be at like state fairs, schools, you know what I mean, and they didn't want to rip the grass, so they'd put those down, and the traction was crazy, and the guys would go out there on their mods to test the Saturday morning of the race, and
they rip it out of the ground.
Oh, well, and dudes were doing huge, really, it was, because they were running out there on legitimate 140 to 150 horsepower 2-stroke, 800 triples on full alcohol and stuff, and I mean these sleds are built to hit 0 to 60 like that, and they had so much, carbide tips, like it was no joke, like it's super competitive, and it's 500 feet, it's very short, 330 is what, half of a eighth mile. That's not a long distance to go, so it's all about how quick you can get out. And dude, it was crazy when they applied that, because it used to be old school, is you'd get dig ruts, and guys would have to counterbalance, and the sleds would be it was crazy, yeah. I miss it. It was fun.
They had a Power Roll. They had a Power Roll hill climb bike that's all stretched out, huge metal paddles and chains and the whole 9 yards on it. Built to the max. They were going to have a race that against the snowmobile, and the stock 440 Yamaha just went off and left it.
Yep.
Because here's the traction patch of the bike, and here's the snowmobile, and it's this long as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it was funny watching the guys like the road race or the sport bike guys like at the drags every now and then, because you don't see it at PIR very much, but every now and then, especially a couple years ago, guys would come out with like old school 800 or 700 twin Yamahas, or like the ZRT Arctic Cats and stuff. Nothing crazy. I'm talking like production based stuff that you could buy, especially nowadays. This stuff's worth about $4 on eBay, and put a slick track on it and wheels, and you can build a 850 in the quarter-mile sled for pennies on the dollar and just piss people off all day. Guys that turboed Hayabusas, stretched air shifters, and they're like, it's like, dude, he has a slick that's 4 feet long by this wide, and it's a 2-stroke, and it makes all its power like that, like easy, and they don't weigh a lot. It's all aluminum. You're like, it's crazy.
yeah, they used to have West Yellowstone. They'd have snowmobile races they'd have the land speed drags.
Yep.
They'd all show up with, like Arctic Cat had the King Cat.
Yep.
Multiple engine, like the Ski-Doo had the 3 or 4 engine.
Oh, and they're
3 or
hybrid,
800s.
custom one-off
But
chassis.
they look like
Yep.
Formula One cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Well, boys, it's been an hour.
Already?
Checking. Yeah. Time flies when you're doing this. Actually,
does.
Dude, we're
We've
just
been-
about to get into deep 70s
I
snowmobile
know.
territory.
Reese is getting
Oh,
excited.
I'm
Now
excited,
that we've
man.
been bringing up snowmobiles.
I literally
But-
have some books at my house in the office that are like OG, like talking about those sleds. Like, yeah, dude, I'm excited. Let's go.
We
man.
still got the after show. We can talk some sleds. I can make fun of Hondas.
Let's
You know,
do
it'll
it,
be a
man.
good
Let's
time.
do
But
it.
for
They
now,
make a great generator. I know.
they make an okay generator. The Yamahas are pretty decent right now, man. I'm
Yeah,
just
they're
saying.
cheaper too.
Yeah.
Give them a
guys.
Costco for half as much money.
Oh, actually, if you want
And
to
they actually stay running.
if you want to be that way about it, buy a Ryobi. I hate to say it, Ryobi's. You can go to Home Depot and buy a Ryobi, and it's a little bit bigger, but it's quiet. It's quiet, and they're like $1,500 less. That's what I have.
I've never had a generator all the years of riding and
I ran.
everybody in karting has a generator.
I ran an entire Riverdale race because something happened and took down the power lines one time in the middle of winter, and we had no power out at the track, and we had 3 Honda generators fail on us, and I had some, whatever the thing Jeremiah Foltz gave me, and it's one of those, it's crate things, older than I am. I lost the air filter to it. Yeah, it's straight from the 70s. It ran the entire office all day. And like rusty, like twist metal gas cap and everything, and that sucker ran our entire race all day, the computers and everything. I kept that just because Jeremiah's like, I don't even want it. I'm like, this thing is a hero now. And I still got that old thing. But we can come back to the after show. We can talk more about awesome generators and snowmobiles.
Yes.
And
Drag racing and
drag racing and how Levi Kitchen is an alien.
He's a no, that guy don't count. He's a weirdo.
He's
too good.
Did you see how he did at Loretta's?
No, I heard he did pretty good.
He won every moto. I think his worst was like 25 seconds in the lead, all in the B classes. He laid down I believe the fastest lap of the entire week, and was just untouchable. Just literally, it was stupid. You see everyone battling back here, and then Levi's just out in front.
They got those Yamahas dialed in pretty good.
And people were writing articles like, "Who's Levi Kitchen?" I'm like, he's been fast for a while, but something clicked, and he was literally untouchable. So hopefully this means
Got those starts.
he was, but he was 2.5 seconds on average, I think, faster a lap. He got the starts. He did great from there, and then he just checked up. And I hope this means he gets a good ride, because he's going pro, cool kid, right from All-Schugle here.
And his dad just got a shifter cart.
And his dad just got a shifter cart. Okay,
Even more
we'll be
reason.
back, and we can talk some more about shifter carts. Thank you guys for watching or listening to Moto Monday number 119, presented by 110 Clothing and produced by Bobby P Media. Thank you guys. It's been fun. We'll be back in a few minutes.